welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, Americans vote in a crucial election to decide who becomes their president for the next 4 years. Channels Television brings you regular updates from reports filed by our correspondents covering the election from various cities across the U.S. The president says multi-party democracy, best for Nigeria, appeals to citizens for patience as he strives to fix the nation's economy. And Supreme Court affirms Seriake Dixon as the validly elected governor of Bayelsa State.
And in business news tonight, delegates at the first SWIFT Business Forum West Africa discuss ways to harmonize electronic payment services in the sub-region.
On sports news tonight, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo pays surprise visit to Super Eagles camp in Abuja as they begin preparations for 2018 World Cup qualifier.
I'm Linda Kibe, and from Abuja, Nigerian lawmakers and other analysts bear their minds on the U.S. presidential election.
The new president after the most brutal campaign ever recorded in the country's history. There was massive voter response, especially in one of the battleground states, Florida, surpassing voter turnout for the year 2000. Now, reports so far suggest that 50% of Floridans had voted before Election Day. Voters are also exercising their rights in the battleground states of North Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, and others. The two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, had crisscrossed America in a hectic last-minute campaign push for votes.
The campaign is over, and now it's the D-Day with voting underway. U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton cast her vote at a polling booth in New York alongside her husband. Meanwhile, her vice presidential candidate, Tim Kaine, was among the first to cast his vote in Richmond, Virginia.
Good morning, Tim. Good to see you again. Your ballot is here. I'm sure you do both sides. You just hold on to this until you get all the way around the
Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, accompanied by his wife Melania, daughter Ivanka, and son-in-law, cast his vote at a polling station on Manhattan's East Side. And in Wilmington, Delaware, the U.S. Vice President Joe Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, were out to cast their votes. All over the country, long lines can be seen at polling places, especially in Virginia, Ohio, and New York. In a battle centered largely on the character of the candidates, 69-year-old Clinton, a former Secretary of State and First Lady, and 70-year-old Trump, a New York businessman, made their final fervent appeals to supporters late on Monday to turn out and vote. Surveys show a tight race in Michigan, which Democrats have long counted on winning. Pennsylvania, another vote-rich state, is also seen as fertile ground by both camps in the closing hours of their campaigns. Races in the hotly contested states of Florida and North Carolina are shifting, however, from favoring Mrs. Clinton to being too close to call.
Now, we have a team of correspondents covering the election across the states. In New York, our correspondent Adeshawa Josh has been monitoring in the Big Apple. And she spoke to us some hours ago on the situation there. And here's what she said.
Election Day is not a public holiday here in the United States, and that explains why it is business as usual at the Times Square here in New York City. However, voting started at 6 a.m. in the morning and is scheduled to end at 9 p.m. Security is tight. NYPD officials are manning strategic positions across the state. However, voting has been largely peaceful. How voting is going to turn out in the city has been a hot debate. This is because the two leading U.S. presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, have both laid claims to winning in this city, and they have a few reasons to believe so. As for Hillary Clinton, she was New York Senator for 2 terms between 2001 and 2009, leaving behind a track record that earned her party's primaries in the city. Meanwhile, New York is home to Donald Trump's booming real estate business and has made him very influential amongst the business community. Traditionally, New Yorkers favor Democratic candidates for president. In fact, they have shown more favoritism in the last few years between 2000 and 2012, voting massively for Democratic candidates in this city. The only times that Republican candidates have won in this city was in 1980 and 1984, when Republican Ronald Reagan defeated Democratic incumbent President Jimmy Carter. In spite of all of these historical facts and figures, how the U.S. 2016 elections is going to pan out is still largely unpredictable. The only way to find out how New Yorkers voted in these elections is to wait for the votes to be counted. From New York City, Adeshewa Josh, Channels Television News.
Thanks a lot, Adeshewa. And over in Wisconsin, our political correspondent Seun Okinbaloye tracked the process there in Green Bay. He reports that this is perhaps the most intriguing in several election cycles, with voters afraid there could be election day hitches.
As soon as the day breaks, Americans of ripe voting age started calling at the different polling stations. At most of the voting centers, the instructions are vivid and directions are clear. From the entrance, you get the guidance, and entering into the centers, you know easily whether you are eligible to vote or not. Voters get registered, and for those who have registered before now, they just go straight to vote. And the road to exercising their franchise as American citizens begin on this sort of queues. Even children are brought here, but only as spectators. For some of the voters, the waiting was not significant.
This was great. I was in and out in 5 minutes.
Fola Ojo is an American of Nigerian descent. It makes a comparison with the Nigerian electoral system.
Every one of them is struggling to grab power. So the passion is intense. The focus is sharp. So whatever they're going to do to win power, they'll do it. But in the United States, it's different from Nigeria. Totally different from Nigeria. So all these words, all this sniping back and forth, all this vitriol, all these abuses, all these concoctions of stories, made-up stories, they're part of the territory.
The voters also speak about the issues which spurred their voting.
Hot button issue. Well, national security is a big issue for me, and you know, I guess that was the biggest decision maker for me, is who was going to do the best as far as a president on national security and economics. So I guess those two were probably the biggest hot button issues for me.
Only thing that actually pushed me out this time with so much passion is what Donald Trump said, that he was going to deport 12 million people. I remember my story how I came here about 30 years ago. If somebody had sent me back, I would not be telling the story that I'm telling now.
What exactly some of the officials have been saying is people have voters, after they've cast the ballot and put the ballot into the machine, they have to wait for the prompt, the message, to tell them the ballot has been accepted and the vote has been cast. So that's exactly what has been happening here. So far, the waiting time, averagely 5 minutes. That's what voters are telling us right here from Ashobunan in Green Bay. Seun Okinbaloye reporting. for Channels Television News.
All right, now that was earlier on when we spoke to him, and Sheung Okimbaloye joins us live now from Wisconsin. All right, Sheung, it's been a couple of hours and things have progressed since we spoke to each other last. What do you observe on the ground there now?
Thank you so much, Doma. The observation is simple. If I will make a very clear comparison between what we have back home in Nigeria and what we have here, is that on a day like this, you will find out that there will be checks, military checkpoints at every half a.
All right, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing him. It's one of those things that happens on a day like this. We will try to get back to him and give you the latest updates, not just from Wisconsin, from New York, Washington, and everywhere else where Channels Television is covering this election live. Let's take a quick break now, and in part 2, after the break, we'll return to the elections. We'll also look at something on the local scene where PDP Democratic Party, that's the People's Democratic Party faction, inaugurates a committee aimed at reinventing the party. You join us again.